Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The adventure of Claire and Holden. Nate turns Audra down and Jill goes back home. Nate Hastings turns down Audra Charles's request, while Claire Newman and Holden Novak embark on a new journey. In Genoa City, there will be some exciting events because Jill Abbott will also be returning home. Claire will leave Kyle Abbott during the week of September 29th to October 3rd in order to pursue her own goals, which might involve falling in love with Holden Novak as she will be moving to Los Angeles with him. Before Sally Spector contacts her, Jill will have a video chat with Jack Abbott. In the end, Jill will be persuaded that a visit to GC is required, so she will return in person. Billy won't take well to that news and will attack Jill because of some reopened wounds. Regarding Kane Ashby's ambition for power, Jill will also have questions for him. In the meantime, Michael Baldwin and the business disasters he will continue to be involved in will cause Lauren Fenmore Baldwin to worry more. As Lauren expresses her worries and demands clarification on what Nikki knows, Nikki Newman will find herself in a difficult situation. Although Victor Newman will not tell Jack about some of his strategies, he will still be able to make some progress towards reconciliation with his new buddy. As Lily Winters spends some quality time with Amy Lewis, Jack and Victor will decide on a route to Kane's takedown. Although Amy will still be sad for Damian Kane, she might bring up the fact that Damian would want Lily to be content, even if that happiness were with Kane. While a part of Amy might hold Kane responsible for Damian's disastrous journey, another part of her would admit that he wasn't the reason Carter lost his mind. She's willing to risk everything to ask Nate for another chance with Audra. Nate simply won't provide Audra the reunion she desires, no matter how much she begs him to. Tessa Porter's inquiry into Mariah Copeland's hotel and any secrets that may be hidden there about the stranger should take place over the week of October 6th to 10th. Sharon Newman and Nick Newman will travel to Los Angeles to meet up with Noah Newman as Tessa and Daniel Romalotti Jr. search for answers. Since she will also end up in Los Angeles, Victoria Newman might take a ride on the jet. That might have been brought on by worries that Claire might get into too much trouble with Holden. How will Kyle handle his anger over Claire and Holden's trip? You can bank on it. Given that Audra will be unhappy that Nate sent her away, may Kyle and Audra run into some difficulty together? The story unfolding in Genoa City during the week of September 29th to October 3rd and beyond will be one of heartbreak, ambition, family strife, and the ever-present lure of fresh beginnings. As Claire Newman and Holden Novak set the stage for a life-changing adventure, Nate Hastings delivers the final blow to Audra Charles's desperate plea for reconciliation. And Jill Abbott makes the emotional decision to return home just when unresolved wounds resurface, all while Genoa City's most powerful figures wrestle with secrets, betrayals, and new alliances. Claire, torn between her feelings for Kyle Abbott and the quiet strength she sees in Holden, makes the bold choice to leave Kyle behind and pursue her own goals, even if that means risking her heart and her place within the Abbott family. And with Holden offering her not only support but also the promise of adventure in Los Angeles, their bond deepens with every step toward a future that could reshape both of their destinies. Yet the decision devastates Kyle, who has always struggled to balance his professional ambition with the fragility of his personal relationships, and the betrayal he feels as Claire walks away could lead him down darker roads that might intertwine with Audra Charles, who herself reels from the sting of rejection when Nate Hastings turns her down with a firm finality that no amount of begging or manipulation can change. For Nate, who has spent years seeking purpose and truth, recognizes that Audra's hunger for power will never align with his own quest for stability, compassion, and genuine love, so he closes the door on their past, leaving Audra desperate, angry, and vulnerable, a dangerous combination that could make her seek comfort in unexpected places. Perhaps even with Kyle, who in his own grief and resentment might find himself entangled with Audra in ways neither of them intended, creating chaos for both of their futures, while Jill Abbott, having had a tense video chat with Jack Abbott and sensing both opportunity and obligation, decides to return to Genoa City in person, bringing with her an air of authority and unfinished business, though her homecoming is anything but peaceful, as Billy Abbott greets her return with hostility, unable to forgive the past wounds she inadvertently reopened, and Jill, though seasoned in battles both personal and professional, must face not only Billy's resentment but also questions surrounding Cain Ashby's growing ambition, wondering whether Cain's desire for power will lead to destruction or redemption. For Cain, whose history is littered with missteps, still longs for respect and a second chance, but Jill will demand answers and clarity before she trusts him again, adding yet another layer of conflict to her turbulent return. Meanwhile, Michael Baldwin, caught in the spiral of one business disaster after another, inadvertently heightens Lauren Fenmore Baldwin's worry, forcing Lauren to confront not only her fears for her husband's safety and stability but also her suspicions that Nikki Newman knows more than she's letting on. Nikki, trapped in a difficult situation, must juggle her loyalty to Victor Newman with her obligations to friends, family, and truth, as Victor himself continues to play his cards close to the vest, refusing to share his full strategy with Jack Abbott while still inching toward a fragile reconciliation, one that could prove pivotal in the war against Cain's ambitions, with Jack and Victor forming an uneasy alliance that may either save them both or destroy them utterly. And as Lily Winters spends tender moments with Amy Lewis, the shadow of Damian Cain lingers, Amy reminding Lily that Damian would have wanted her to be happy, perhaps even with Cain, despite the bitterness of the past, for although part of Amy blames Cain for Damian's downfall, another part admits that Damian's choices were his own, a realization that could finally grant Amy the peace to move forward, though the risk remains that old wounds might reopen if Cain continues to seek power at any cost, while Audra, unwilling to accept defeat, contemplates risking everything for another chance with Nate, even though he has made it abundantly clear that the reunion she dreams of will never happen, her desperation a powder keg waiting for the right spark. And elsewhere, Tessa Porter pursues her inquiry into Mariah Copeland's hotel, suspecting hidden secrets tied to a mysterious stranger, a subplot that promises to unravel between October 6 to 10 and potentially expose shocking truths, as Sharon Newman and Nick Newman travel to Los Angeles to reconnect with their son Noah Newman, who may hold answers of his own, while Tessa and Daniel Romalotti Jr. follow separate threads of their investigation. And in the midst of this, Victoria Newman also makes her way to Los Angeles, her motivations tied not just to business but to maternal concern, for Victoria fears that Claire, now entwined with Holden, may be stepping into something far more dangerous than she realizes, leading Victoria to take a ride on the Newman jet to safeguard her daughter's future. Yet despite her efforts, Claire's heart and determination may prove unshakable, for she sees in Holden not only possibility but freedom from the shadow of her family's legacy, though Kyle, seething in Genoa City, will surely struggle to contain his anger, perhaps lashing out or plotting retaliation. And with Audra equally embittered by Nate's rejection, it's not hard to imagine these two disillusioned souls finding each other in the wreckage of their heartbreak, a collision that could ignite fresh scandals and power shifts in Genoa City, setting the stage for explosive confrontations, fragile alliances, and journeys that will test the limits of love, ambition, and forgiveness in ways no one could predict. As the week continues in Genoa City and beyond, the ripple effects of every choice become more tangled, drawing friends, lovers, and enemies into an inescapable web of loyalty, betrayal, and the hunger for fresh starts, and perhaps no choice carries as much weight as Claire Newman's bold leap into the unknown with Holden Novak, because while her departure devastates Kyle Abbott, it also sparks the kind of independence Claire has long craved, her decision to leave behind Genoa City and Kyle, symbolizing her breaking free from years of shadows cast by her family name, by scars of the past, and by expectations that she could never fully meet. With Holden by her side, Claire begins to dream bigger than ever before, believing Los Angeles will give her a clean slate where she can reinvent herself and finally live on her own terms. Yet Holden, though supportive and charming, carries his own hidden baggage, secrets he hasn't confessed to Claire, secrets that could threaten to derail their entire journey if revealed at the wrong moment. And as they prepare to board Victor Newman's private jet, ironically the very same one Victoria will later use, Claire is unaware that her mother's watchful eye still follows her every move, Victoria Newman more determined than ever to keep her daughter from being consumed by danger, though even Victoria must admit that Holden has a steadiness, a quiet strength, that Kyle often lacked in his endless battle to live up to Abbott expectations. Meanwhile, Kyle, left behind, stews in resentment, unable to believe Claire would choose Holden over him, and his fury only grows when Audra Charles, equally rejected and humiliated by Nate Hastings, slinks into his orbit, their shared bitterness creating an intoxicating mix of temptation and destruction. For though Kyle knows better than to get tangled up with Audra's schemes, heartbreak has a way of lowering defenses, and Audra, sharp and calculating, knows exactly how to manipulate his vulnerable state, playing on his ego and whispering just enough promises of revenge to push him toward dangerous choices. While that storm brews, Jill Abbott makes her dramatic re-entry into Genoa City, her presence stirring long-buried emotions across the family. Jack Abbott greets her return with guarded courtesy, relieved she heeded his earlier concerns but wary of the trouble her presence could ignite, while Billy Abbott, still nursing old wounds, doesn't even bother to mask his anger, lashing out at Jill in a heated confrontation that leaves both mother and son shaking with unresolved resentment. Billy accusing her of meddling, of abandoning him when he needed her most, of choosing business over family time and time again, and though Jill attempts to defend her choices, pointing to the sacrifices she made to secure the Abbott legacy, her voice falters when she realizes Billy's pain runs deeper than she ever acknowledged, forcing her to confront her failings as both mother and matriarch. Kane Ashby, too, comes under Jill's scrutiny, his ambition a glaring red flag in her eyes, and though Kane tries to present himself as reformed, driven not by greed but by a desire to prove himself worthy, Jill sees through the charm, pressing him with uncomfortable questions about his true motivations, his alliances, and his willingness to exploit others to achieve his ends, leaving Kane shaken but still unwilling to abandon his quest for power, for in his mind redemption cannot come without reclaiming influence and control. Elsewhere, Michael Baldwin's continued entanglement in business disasters begins to fracture his once stable marriage, as Lauren Fenmore Baldwin, exhausted by the constant uncertainty, demands answers he cannot give, her frustration reaching new heights when she confronts Nikki Newman, convinced Nikki knows far more than she admits about the shady dealings and risks Victor is quietly orchestrating. Nikki, caught between loyalty to Victor and her own conscience, struggles to maintain balance, particularly as her sobriety feels more fragile under mounting pressure. And the guilt of holding back from friends gnaws at her, especially as Victor's schemes unfold behind closed doors. Victor, though withholding, inches toward reconciliation with Jack Abbott, their mutual hatred for Kane's growing influence binding them together in an uneasy alliance, though each man secretly wonders if the other can be trusted, their bond perhaps less a true friendship and more a marriage of convenience designed to dismantle a shared enemy. As Lily Winters spends tender moments with Amy Lewis, the weight of Damian Kane's death hovers like a ghost neither can fully exorcise. Amy reminds Lily that Damian would want her to find joy again, even if that joy lies with Kane, though she admits the contradiction of her heart, how one part still blames Kane for Damian's spiral while another part knows Damian made his own tragic choices. A tug-of-war of grief and forgiveness that leaves Amy vulnerable, yet resolute enough to push Lily toward happiness rather than endless mourning, though Lily herself remains conflicted, torn between her loyalty to Damian's memory and the complicated pull she still feels toward Kane, a man she cannot fully trust but cannot entirely let go of either. Audra, however, remains the wild card, her desperation for Nate Hastings' affection curdling into dangerous determination. Despite Nate's firm and final rejection, she toys with the idea of giving him one last shot, refusing to accept that their connection is dead, though deep down she knows Nate has moved on, his moral compass guiding him away from the toxicity Audra so often thrives on. And this rejection sends Audra teetering on the edge of recklessness, a woman scorned and eager to prove she still has power, even if it means aligning herself with men like Kyle, who are equally vulnerable, equally dangerous, and equally blinded by their pain, a combination destined to wreak havoc in Genoa City. Meanwhile, Tessa Porter's quiet investigation into Mariah Copeland's hotel continues to peel back layers of secrecy, a stranger lurking at the edges of the story hinting at connections no one yet understands, and as October 6th to 10th approaches, Tessa's discoveries threaten to link back to past deceptions that could shock the entire town, drawing in Daniel Romolotti Jr., Sharon Newman, and Nick Newman, who find themselves traveling to Los Angeles to not only reconnect with Noah but also dig into mysteries that could reshape the Newman family's future. Victoria, 2, heads for Los Angeles, unable to sit by while Claire throws herself headlong into Holden's arms and dreams, her maternal instinct screaming that danger lurks beneath Holden's charming exterior, though whether her interference will protect Claire or push her further away remains to be seen. For Claire, the trip to Los Angeles is more than a physical relocation, it is a symbolic shedding of the chains that bound her to Genoa City, her heart swelling with possibility even as unresolved doubts gnaw at her in private, and Holden, steady and encouraging, assures her that this new chapter will be theirs alone, a partnership not bound by the expectations of their families, but what Claire cannot see, at least not yet, is that Holden's own secrets may one day clash with her pursuit of freedom, testing her strength in ways she has never anticipated, and though their chemistry is undeniable, the path ahead is fraught with risks. As Kyle's anger simmers back in Genoa City, Audra's manipulations intensify, Jill's return reignites family fractures, and Victor's quiet maneuvers ripple across every storyline, ensuring that no character emerges from this period unscathed, because in Genoa City, choices have consequences, love is never simple, and the past always has a way of catching up just when the future feels within reach. As Claire Newman and Holden Novak touch down in Los Angeles, the weight of their choices begins to settle on their shoulders, though Claire insists she feels freer than she has in years. Walking through the glittering city streets beside Holden, she imagines herself living without the suffocating labels of Victor's granddaughter or Victoria's daughter, savoring the idea of simply being Claire, a woman starting fresh, a woman brave enough to rewrite her own story, and Holden encourages her. With every step, his quiet confidence and adventurous nature pulling her deeper into the possibility of love, though beneath his calm exterior lies a story he has not yet told, shadows from his past that could surface at any time, especially in a city like Los Angeles, where secrets rarely stay buried for long, and though Claire is swept up in the excitement, her instincts occasionally whisper doubts, about Holden's silences, about the risk of leaving Kyle Abbott so abruptly, about what it means to start over when her heart is still tender and uncertain, but each time those fears creep in, Holden's charm disarms her, reminding her why she chose him, why she chose freedom, why she chose to leap into the unknown rather than cling to what was safe but unfulfilling. Back in Genoa City, Kyle's devastation curdles into rage, watching Claire walk away with Holden reopens wounds from every failed relationship, every betrayal, every time he was left standing in the ruins of love. And though Jack Abbott urges his son to channel his grief into work, Kyle instead gravitates toward the one person who mirrors his sense of rejection, Audra Charles, who has just been dealt the humiliating blow of Nate Hastings turning her away with brutal finality. The two wounded souls find themselves in a dangerous dance, Audra whispering poisonous suggestions into Kyle's ear, reminding him that Claire's betrayal could be avenged, that Holden isn't worthy of her, that together they could rise stronger than ever, though Kyle, smart enough to know Audra's games, still allows himself to be pulled into her orbit, too angry and too vulnerable to resist her allure. And in the darkness of late-night drinks and whispered conversations, the two share an intimacy born not of love but of spite, planting seeds that could bloom into chaos if their connection deepens. Meanwhile, Jill Abbott's return to Genoa City proves to be both a triumph and a nightmare, her presence commanding attention but also reigniting resentments that have never fully healed. Her reunion with Jack is cordial, even warm at times, but Billy Abbott explodes at the very sight of her, unable to mask the bitterness he carries from years of feeling abandoned, manipulated, or treated as a pawn in her endless pursuit of power. Their confrontation is fiery, Billy accusing her of caring more about the Abbott name than her own children, Jill firing back that everything she did was to secure a future for them all, yet beneath her defiance there is guilt, a rare crack in her steel facade as she absorbs the truth in Billy's words, though she is too proud to admit it aloud, leaving their relationship hanging on the precipice of either reconciliation or total collapse. Kane Ashby, too, becomes a focal point of Jill's scrutiny, his hunger for control too visible to ignore, and though Kane insists his ambition is born from a desire to redeem himself and prove he belongs, Jill presses him with relentless questions, demanding to know whether he seeks power for the family or for himself, whether his remorse for past mistakes is genuine or merely a mask to win trust again, and Kane, struggling under the weight of her interrogation, vows to prove his worth even as doubt flickers in Jill's sharp eyes, doubt that could either push Kane toward redemption or drive him to darker schemes to secure the respect he craves.